Verse 13. And so it was when she saw that he had left his garment, her hand fled away, went outside. And she called to the man of the house and spoke to them, saying, See, he has brought in to us a Hebrew to mock us. He came in to me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. Verse 15. And it happened when he heard that I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled and went outside. So she kept his garment with her until his master came home. Then she spoke to him words like this, saying, The Hebrew servant whom you brought to us comes in to me to mock me. So it happened as I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled outside. So it was, when his master heard the words which his wife spoke to him, saying, Your servant did to me after this manner, that his anger was aroused. Then Joseph's master took him, put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph, and showed him mercy, and he gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prisons. And the keeper of the prisons committed to Joseph and all the prisoners who were in the prison. Whatever they did there, it was his doing. The keeper of the prison did not look into anything that was under Joseph's authority, because the Lord was with him. And whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper. Let's go back into this particular passage and see what lessons can we learn from this short passage. Because one of the approaches that our God, our Lord, chose to instill us a sense of being a proper example is to provide us with examples. And the Bible have a lot of examples. So emphatic example will inspire us to change, to make a change. For instance, if your friend is able to lose 40 pounds, you may say, I should be able to lose 20 pounds. Just like because of one brother able to speak Mandarin, I say, I should be able to speak Mandarin. So inspired examples does help us to make change. And the Bible uses this very good example to inspire us. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 11 tells us that all things are recorded for our learning. So it's meant for us to learn. And let's learn from this story of Joseph in the house of Potiphar as recorded in Genesis chapter 39. In Potiphar's house, Joseph was very successful in his work. He was responsible, very hardworking, diligent, and intelligent in doing his assignment. He was a man whose master can depend on. Okay? Even though he was a slave. Okay? He took pride in his work and strive to do his very best. So it doesn't mean a slave means give up hope. So learn from Joseph, even though he was a slave, but he is very successful. Whatever he did, he worked or did with all his heart, as though he was working for the Lord and not for man. Just as recorded in Colossians chapter 3, verse 23, where all of us Christians ought to have this kind of attitude. That is, whatever you do, do it heartily, as to the Lord and not to man. So Joseph did likewise. The result was that the Lord blessed all that Joseph did and caused it to prosper. Okay? The very first lessons we can learn is that you can read in verse 2. The text tells us in Genesis chapter 39, verse 2. The text tells us that the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man. Though, of course, here refer to materially being prosperous, but Joseph was also very successful spiritually, being a very good man. But one of the lessons that we can learn is that even though he is a very spiritually successful person, but he is not exempted from temptation. Doesn't mean that you are a good person, then you will not be tempted. That's the lesson to learn. So a successful person spiritually also will be tempted. That's the lessons that we have to learn. Paul warned us in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12. Therefore, let him who thinks he stands to keep lest he fall. We have to be always humble, always be on guard against the scheme of Satan. Because when you think you are strong, and that's the time when you will fall. Okay, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12. Tell us to keep lest he fall. The second lesson we can learn is from verse 5 of Genesis chapter 39. The Lord blessed the Egyptian house for Joseph's sake. You see, even outside of the Christian circles, the Lord also blessed. Potiphar was impressed with this Joseph because whatever he put in charge, he will be successful. So Joseph supervised the purchase of food and other provision. He supervised the bookkeeping, taxes. Joseph was so trustworthy that Potiphar only had to worry nothing, only meal, only makan, nothing else to worry. Okay. But the second lesson to learn is that even those outside of the Lord can be blessed by simply having some contact with one who is in the Lord. So for Joseph's sake, Potiphar be blessed. So an effective personal person, a good personal worker can be instrumental. The person can play a part in leading many to Christ, to bless those that the person with. So, for believing wife, husband still haven't become a Christian, don't worry, because it's written in 1 Peter chapter 3. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1 to 2. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1 to 2. Wives, likewise be submissive to your own husband, that even some do not obey the word. Then, without the word may be won by the conduct of their wives, when they observe your chaste conduct accompanied by fear. So the influence of good Christians can be very great. Okay? Because Christians, good Christians even often pray for non-Christians, even for their enemies. That's what our Lord Jesus Christ tells us to do. The influence of one who is in the Lord goes beyond the circle of Christians only. So that is why non-Christians sometimes even like to work with Christians, okay, do business with Christians, because they are blessed rather than being cheated by non-Christians. That's lesson 2 to learn. Okay? Lesson 3 that we can learn from this short passage. In the verse 6 itself, tells us that Joseph was well built. He is handsome in form and appearance. Having these combinations of good look and an important position can be deadly to him. Okay? So the third lesson we can learn is that good look, good features, and good appearance that the world outside esteem and like can become a stumbling block. Be careful. Okay? To those who possess them. So when you are very beautiful, when you are very handsome, when you are of high positions, careful. It can be a stumbling block. You can be a very young footballer, handsome, or you can be a beautiful model. It can be a stumbling block. Be careful. However, we can read from the text that Joseph did not allow his good looks, okay, to cause him to stumble. But if you are a person who has been blessed with attractive appearance, okay, thank God for it, but don't stumble because of it. Always remain humble, as our Lord was humble. So because of his handsome appearance, Joseph was tempted. The moment of testing came by the way of Potiphar's wife, like a lot of rich, very bold, beautiful woman. Definitely Potiphar's wife must be a beautiful woman. Okay? She craved for excitement, and she thought she found her excitement in Joseph. So one day she came up to Joseph and said to him, "Lie with me." In other words, come to bed with me. This first approach must have been very flattering to Joseph. Wow. Here he was a slave, and yet his master wife wanted to sleep with him. The offer must have been very tempting to Joseph.